Hello and a very warm welcome to you, to all members of the nephrology community joining the live 2021 Nephrology Congress from all over the globe. We are so delighted to unite participants from more than 100 countries joining this Congress. My name is Kristina Mühlen. I'm a TV journalist and host and your live TV host. Our live TV sessions will guide you through the daily agenda highlights. They will begin each Congress Day and they are also available on demand on the live campus for your convenience. Over the next 4 days, you will learn from over 80 international speakers from 19 countries. You are invited to discuss and to exchange with all stakeholders in chronic kidney disease. This Congress truly is for everyone, young and senior nephrologists, nurses, policymakers, and, of course, for your patients. What does today's program offer you? One of the highlights of today's agenda is an exciting session with Professor Kai-Uwe Eckert. Professor Eckert is the director of the Medical Department, Division of Nephrology and Internal Intensive Care Medicine at the Charité Hospital in Berlin, here in Germany. He will be joined by the Nobel laureate, Professor Sir Peter Ratcliffe from the University of Oxford and the Francis Crick Institute in England. Together, they will lead an inspiring conversation on the discovery of hypoxia-inducible factor and the latest opportunities in its medical application. Sir Peter Ratcliffe is the 2019 Nobel laureate in physiology or medicine. Together with William Kaelin and Greg Semenza, he received the Nobel Prize for the discoveries in oxygen sensing in cells. Professor Eckert and Professor Ratcliffe have a long-lasting friendship as well as a strong professional relationship. The latter is reflected in the plethora of publications on their joint research interests related to the physiological role of hypoxia-inducible factor. How can something as simple as oxygen and the regulatory machinery thereof open up so many therapeutic areas? Watch the explanation video on the hypoxia-inducible factor ahead of this insightful keynote session.
Everyone knows that life is impossible without oxygen. In order to transport oxygen, the human body needs red blood cells. Their production in the bone marrow is stimulated by a hormone called erythropoietin, or EPO for short. And this hormone is produced in our kidneys when red blood cell counts or oxygen levels are low. 30 years ago, the mechanism which stimulates the kidneys to produce EPO in response to decreased oxygen levels was still unknown. It was only uncovered by the investigation of Professor Sir Peter Ratcliffe, Professor Dr. Semenza and Professor Dr. Kaelin. A groundbreaking discovery that earned them the Nobel Prize and opened a whole new field of therapeutic possibilities. They identified the hypoxia-inducible factor, also called HIF, an essential factor for the transcription of several genes, including EPO. So what exactly is HIF and how does it work? Let's see. Under normoxic conditions, the enzyme HIF, prolyl hydroxylase, hydroxylates HIF-alpha. This allows binding with the von Hippel-Lindau protein, which then targets the complex for degradation in the proteasome. Under hypoxic conditions, no oxygen is available to allow HIF prolyl hydroxylase to hydroxylate HIF-alpha. The protein remains functional, allowing it to bind the hypoxia response element together with other transcriptional factors, inducing gene transcription, for example, of EPO. This discovery practically constitutes a revolution for anemia management. Patients with chronic kidney disease often suffer from anemia, as damaged kidneys may have a decreased amount of EPO-producing cells. Currently, the principal standard of care to counteract low EPO levels consists of administration of iron, transfusions of red blood cells, or the administration of erythropoiesis-stimulating agents called ESAs, which are biologically and structurally similar to EPO. However, as ESA dosage increases, in order to counter anemia, ESA resistance and cardiovascular complications can become a problem. But that could become a thing of the past, as EPO production can now also be increased by targeting HIF with the help of HIF prolyl hydroxylase inhibitors. In direct comparison with ESAs, HIF prolyl hydroxylase inhibitors offer many advantages. They are administered orally and not intravenously. They do not require cold storage, and as small molecule agents are cheaper to produce. As of September 2021, some HIF prolyl hydroxylase inhibitors are already licensed for treating renal anemia in Asia and Europe. However, analyses of global Phase 3 data recently also showed some safety signals, including an enhanced risk for cardiovascular and thromboembolic events in certain settings. In Europe and the United States, Phase 3 clinical trials are currently underway in order to check on cardiovascular challenges. For patients with von Hippel-Lindau disease who require specific cancer therapy, the first HIF-2 alpha antagonist just received FDA approval in August 2021. We look forward to seeing what other therapeutic opportunities will arise from this exciting discovery. If you are interested in getting more insights, follow the conversation between Professor Sir Peter Ratcliffe and Professor Kai-Uwe Eckardt at the Life 2021 Nephrology Congress.
Professor Van Holder is the president of the European Kidney Health Alliance and chairman of the European Chronic Disease Alliance. And he is the former president of the European Renal Association, European Dialysis and Transplant Association, ERA-EDTA. Professor Van Holder has conducted the majority of his research at the University Hospital Ghent in Belgium. He's a medical scientist with areas of investigation in clinical nephrology, adequacy of dialysis and uremic toxins. And with over 900 peer-reviewed articles, his activities don't stop there. Beyond his research interests, Professor Van Holder has a strong involvement in health policy and raising awareness for kidney diseases amongst all stakeholders, including those not directly involved, such as non-nephrologist medical professionals, regulators, policymakers, and the general public. Ray, together with other co-authors and colleagues, you recently published a paper with a strong statement, Fighting the Unbearable Likeness of Neglecting Kidney Health, the Decade of the Kidney. What made you choose such a provocative title?
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for this interview. I wrote this article essentially because there is a lot of unawareness, especially in the outside world, in people who are not confronted with kidney disease. And as a consequence, also policymakers do not follow and do not undertake action as it should be done. And one of the other problems is also that people just simply do not understand kidney disease, and that people with kidney disease quite often do not know it until it is too late. So the action must be done much earlier and much more intensively than currently.
The paper represents a call for action, which was prepared by the European Kidney Health Alliance, EKHA for short. What is the mission of the EKHA?
EKHA is a Brussels-based NGO that is doing advocacy for the community of kidney patients and for the entire nephrological community at the level of the European Union, but from there also top to bottom to the national level. Although it is for sure that not all this can be done on this one single platform. So there must be parallel initiatives nationally. And that is still an issue that needs some continued working on it.
One of the great successes of the European Kidney Health Alliance is the fact that there has been running a MEP group for kidney health since 2008. This MEP group is the informal group of members of the European Parliament committed to improve the policy response to the growing burden of kidney disease in Europe. Could you tell us more about it and the people involved?
Yes, we have for the time being 23 European parliamentarians from 11 countries or 12 countries that are supporting our actions. And they do this in several different ways. First of all, by drawing the attention of the European Commission, which is some sort of ministry system, to the kidney problem by asking parliamentary questions, and also by taking part in our initiatives, supporting us by social media, etc. And we are quite happy that current chair of this group is Hilde Voutmans. That's a Belgian politician who is very much involved because her sister-in-law is a kidney patient, and together with her, we undertake a lot of actions. The other point is that with the help of the parliamentarians, we got a 1 million project from the European Commission to study the differences in kidney treatment and the reasons for that throughout Europe. And finally, we are also very happy during the first part of this year to be in the possibility to speak to Ms. Stella Kyriakides, which is the European Commissioner for Health, and who fully supported our actions, understood very much about kidney disease, and was very helpful for our initiatives. So she was also the person who was introducing a kidney forum that we held during spring this year.
The European Kidney Health Alliance not only promotes communication and networking amongst policymakers. As its president, you also encourage countries to support patient health literacy with regard to kidney disease. Could you share some of the hurdles and the next steps on dealing with this?
Health literacy is a problem, not only for kidney disease, I think for all chronic diseases, but it may be more pronounced in kidney disease, and especially in the populations who are not transplanted. The issue is a little bit better for transplant patients, but in general, kidney patients before kidney replacement therapy and dialysis patients have an illiteracy around 30 to 40%. So that makes them quite difficult or makes it quite difficult to them to understand every issue that is presented to them and to make a clear decision, and also to take preventive measures and to take part actively in their treatment, for instance, by performing home dialysis. So that's one side of the problem. The other side is the lack of information that is given to patients by kidney professionals. We undertook an inquiry among kidney patients throughout Europe, where there were huge differences among countries and countries. Certain countries really were acknowledged for being insufficient in giving information about treatment options, sufficient information and all information about treatment options. And there is a specific problem about minorities, refugees, and people who are not using the usual channels, a little bit the same problem as we have currently with vaccination for COVID-19. And we must, with the help of experts that are not necessarily nephrologists, develop specific methods to reach those people better.
Ray, I would like to quote your son, Peter van Holder, who said that patient education is essential because it allows the patient to represent their interests in their different disease areas and to influence how treatment is developed. Patient support and engagement runs on the family. Peter has been working for the European AIDS Treatment Group. He is an advocate for their cooperation with the European Patients Academy on Therapeutic Innovation, and he has supported many African projects in the past. What can we learn for chronic kidney disease from the more professional and prominent organizations' voices of AIDS activists?
Yes, my son has been working for, I think, about 10 years in Africa. in this way got interested in the AIDS problem. But then later on, when he returned to Europe, became involved as a manager of the European AIDS treatment group, EATG, which is another Brussels-based NGO, where he since then is running this NGO. Now, the interesting thing about EATG, which is a well-acknowledged Brussels group on the European scene, is that it is a pure patient organization, and also that the AIDS group is a very resilient group, a group that is very active to improve the fate of their fellow patients. And interestingly, they managed to do this very well. Actually, it is clear that AIDS gets really the attention it deserves, but gets more attention proportionally than, for instance, kidney disease. So the resilience of their patients is a very interesting issue. And through him, I learned also about this EU PATI initiative. That's a kind of course that makes patients more aware of their situation, and also teaches them how to create more awareness and to perform advocacy. So when I heard from this, I contacted immediately our patient groups. We have, first of all, the European Kidney Patient Federation as one of the 5 major members of EKHA, but we have also the Dutch Kidney Patient Federation. And I made them aware of the initiative, and as far as I know, several of them followed this. So I hope that this makes us more strong to convince the European Union and Europe at large about the importance of kidney disease, but because I'm convinced that all this needs to go through the patients, that the patients have to play a central role, because policymakers are much more, and rightly, I think, listening to the patients than to us. There are also more patients than there are professionals. So we obviously have to do this together with them. And this will also help to solve another problem, that is the so-called patient-related outcomes, the quite trivial things that, not trivial, but things that do not kill them, but that are bothering them, itching, to name one, fatigue, pain, etc. Things we have paying not enough attention to, and I think this needs to be solved. And it is really reconforting that many industries now also start listening and talking with patients, and that, for instance, also the European Medicine Agency, the EMA, is now taking patients into its consultancy. I think that's a very important point.
Thank you for your and your family's engagement, and for the inspiration in shaping a better future for kidney disease patients, Ray. It was a pleasure to have you join us in this interview.
So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best with the meeting. And I hope that people will have a lot of help from all information that comes from it.
On the topic of raising awareness for kidney diseases and kidney health, take a look at the following video and share it with your peers and patients.
Hey you, what do you know about your kidneys? Most likely not too much. You may know that they are located somewhere in the lower back region, and that they play an important role in purifying your blood. Is that it? Well, it's time to take a closer look. First of all, your kidneys are multitaskers. Every day, they filter about 1,800 litres of blood and excrete the filtered waste products and toxins through urine. They regulate your blood pressure, water and electrolyte supply, and build essential hormones. So they are essential for a healthy, functioning body. But in fact, 1 in 10 Europeans suffer from reduced kidney function, and many are not aware of the progressing loss of function. Because kidneys suffer quietly in the early stages. And the worst thing is, they cannot recover from a chronic damage. Consequences of kidney problems include edema, itchy skin, fatigue and anemia, high blood pressure, heart failure and weak bones. In the worst case, kidney function has to be replaced via dialysis or a kidney transplant is needed. But what can you do to prevent this? Especially harmful for the kidneys are diabetes, high blood pressure and obesity. Keep an eye on your weight, your blood pressure and blood sugar levels. In fact, many risk factors lie in your own hands, and you can do a lot to keep your kidneys healthy. Besides regular exercise and healthy whole food nutrition, as well as using less salt, you should watch your weight, avoid stress, nicotine, and the overuse of painkillers.
Well, the first day of the Life 2021 Congress offers many exciting topics. Enjoy the Life 2021 Nephrology Congress. We are one nephrology community. Help us shape a better future for patients.